I was in Toronto chasing the story of serial killer Bruce MacArthur. I'd found out the gardener and shopping mall Santa had been in a relationship with his first victim for 10 years, and I needed to know if he was linked to the other men he murdered. MacArthur's second victim is this guy called Abdul Basir Fezi. His friends called him Basir. He went missing in December 2010, about 3 months after Skandar, that's MacArthur's first victim, went missing. So when I look at these pictures, there's something really obvious, which is they are, of course, both brown-skinned men. But Basir was different from Skandar, and also from Salim and Andrew. They were all out and proud gay men. Basir wasn't. He had a wife and he had a couple of kids. And he'd come from Afghanistan, moves to this place called Brampton, early 2000s, kind of on the outskirts of Toronto.
His car was found on Moore Avenue near Mount Pleasant and St. Clair. His family says he has a wife and 2 young daughters waiting for him.
On the night Basir went missing, his family didn't know where he was. They didn't know who he was with or what he was doing. I've got the police investigation file. It says Basir was actually last seen at the Steamworks bathhouse on Church Street. That is bang smack in the middle of the gay village. We're not talking about a kind of spa where you go and makes your skin look nice. It's not that kind of thing. It's a gay sauna, which is where you go to have sex. So taking that into consideration, it is pretty likely that Basir was gay. Maybe he was bisexual. And then there's also this reference. The manager of the Black Eagle bar advised that he's familiar with Basir Fezi. The Black Eagle is this place. It's the place that Andrew used to work. One guy that I spoke to said he'd seen Bruce there. So the obvious question, is that where MacArthur met Basir?
There is no evidence that the serial killer is responsible for the disappearance of any of the missing males.
Bruce MacArthur.
He is a kind, generous man.
Hi, Karen, it's Bruce.
The man I knew actually didn't exist.
Yesterday afternoon, human remains were located at one of the first digging sites.
Basir Fezi's case was originally picked up by Peel Regional Police, where he lived, not the Toronto police who cover the gay village. So I wondered if the local force ever came close to linking MacArthur with Basir. Marie-Catherine, hello, I'm Rabin, so nice to meet you. How are you doing? I tracked down the now retired police officer who led the investigation. Can you remember the first time you heard of Abdul Basir Fezi? There's a wife and children, isn't there?
Yes.
Do you think she had any idea that he was experimenting with men, that he was gay or bisexual?
No, because when we announced it to her, she was really shocked. She told me it's really not well accepted in our culture. But she told me he'd come home from work, spend time on his computer, so I knew computer was the key. And early on, I realized that these websites that he was going on were really risky.
What kind of stuff are we talking?
Bondage, leather, it didn't look comfy. It was, it looked rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to the point that after that night I went home and I had all these pictures in my head. I'm like, I need a glass of wine. This is not something I'm used to see.
Can you remember who he was speaking to or what the profile name was?
I remember that he was talking to Silver Fox, and I started communicating with the person. Hi, how are you? And then he didn't answer. There was a silence, but you see the other person like is online and they're reading, and then he quit online right away. And that's where I got the chill.
And you didn't, I'm assuming, you didn't know Silver Fox was linked to the name of Bruce MacArthur?
No, we couldn't get the information. When it comes to missing person investigation, our hands are really tight in finding information. You need a warrant. We don't have a homicide yet. We started working more actively downtown Toronto, meeting the gay community, talking to people on the street. We did undercover at Black Eagles for nights.
You did undercovers at Black
Yeah,
Eagle?
not me. I was in the car waiting outside, but the guys that I recruited, oh my God, they were all dressed in chap and leather.
Are you talking about straight guys?
No, yeah.
My God, really?
Yeah.
You were looking, of course, in all the right places. Did they get any intel?
Not really, but I saw the poster at the cafe, missing.
Are you talking about Skanda Navaratram?
Yes. And I was shocked as soon as I saw the picture.
So you're seeing those images and you're thinking, okay, these are brown men.
Yes.
They've both gone missing.
In the village. This is not a coincidence. And right away I was like, we have something bigger. And of course, when you say you go back to the office and say, I think we have a serial killer, and everybody laugh, of course, because what is the chance of having a serial killer in a career of a police officer? Really slim. Right away, I went on the phone, tried to contact Toronto police who had this other missing person.
What was the response?
It was a voicemail, and a person did not call me back. The police culture, if you were assigned missing person cases, it was like a loser, a little bit. I was getting mad because I knew inside of me that I had something. So I sent a formal email.
Okay, you're happy with me to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah? We're presently investigating a missing person, Abdul Basir Faizi. We came across your missing person case, Skanda Navaratram. There's many similarities. We feel that it's necessary to proceed with power casing our case.
So basically, it's to tell him this is very serious.
It's
this
very
is a
serious.
Homicide, right? Only a homicide go in power case and sexual assault.
So we also feel that your case and our case could be possibly connected somehow. So this is sent in January 2011. So 21st of January 2011. So this is just a few weeks.
Yeah.
A few weeks after Faizi's gone missing, and you've already, in black and white, you've connected it to Skanda Navaratram.
Yeah.
And you didn't get any response to that.
No.
That could have changed everything.
Could. Yeah. Absolutely. We knew right away they were connected. There was no way around it. It was so obvious.
Marie Catherine is joining the dots and saying Skanda and Basir could be linked back in January 2011. You gotta wonder if Toronto police had taken that seriously and reeled in MacArthur, then could he have been stopped? That is 7 years before MacArthur ends up getting arrested, and it's in that gap that he goes on to murder 6 other men. In 2012, October, that's almost 2 years later, Majid Kayan, he goes missing. Another brown man.
I can now report that we have recovered and identified the remains of Majid Kayan from the ravine.
He ends up being the final body that's found in suburbia. The other thing is, he also happens, just like Basir, to be an Afghan guy. Now, the Afghan community isn't massive in Toronto. And then you think about men that happen to be gay who are going to the village. That isn't a massive pool of people. So is that just a wild coincidence? Or is MacArthur targeting these guys specifically? It's a struggle to find Afghans in Toronto who'll speak openly about Basir and Majid. The only conversation that's out in the open seems to be this one. Did their life mean less because they were homosexual? They were basically forced to live a double life, one a normal and acceptable Afghan life, and one of whom they really felt they were a part of. Did we fail these two men as a community? This is the first kind of engagement from someone from the Afghan community that I've seen in a public space. The women writing this stuff are a couple of local vloggers.
With Muska and Surya, ready to break the rules.
Hi guys, welcome back to Kishmish Nakhlot. We were supposed to have some other speakers, but no one actually dared to come and talk about it for the very reason that how would the community take it?
The fact that they couldn't even get a guest to speak about this issue, it speaks volumes about us as a community. And I say us because, you know, I'm Pakistani, they're kind of neighbours. I think, assuming that the children of immigrants, in the same way I am. And back in England, there's a ton of stuff we don't talk about. And, you know, pretty high up at the top of that list is sex and sexuality and anything that doesn't fit into that model of getting married to someone of the opposite gender and having kids. It was reported that, like Basir, Majid had a wife and kids. His marriage was over and he'd been living in the village for more than 10 years. When he went missing, it took over a week for a report to be filed. Why was no one making noise? To answer that question, I needed to find someone that really knew what Majid's life was about.
Pankit Singha says Kayan's family is devastated.
They're very angry, and they're angry at, I think, at the right person, which is Mr. MacArthur.
Like most of the victims' families, Kayan's has been very private too.
After a lot of chasing and even more back and forth, I finally got the call I was waiting for from Majid's nephew.
Hello, good morning, Abin. This is Saber calling you back to let you know that actually it's a good timing because his brother Jalil Kayan is also in Mississauga in Toronto. So you're welcome to come by.
Assalamu alaikum. Sabir, Mubin, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you? Welcome, Mubin.
Yes.
Mubin. Thank you. That's perfect.
I've got tea for you.
I love this. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I'll grab that. Thank you.
Take some more.
That's perfect. Honestly, that's fine. Thank you. Don't go to too much trouble.
Please.
Thank you.
Wow.
I didn't come around to eat.
Well, this is our customs, you know.
Can I give you?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Was he your younger brother? Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So he's younger than you?
Yes.
He was the youngest of my uncles. He was full of life. He was so compassionate and so friendly with everybody. He brought smiles to everybody.
Have you got any pictures of him?
He just,
Oh my God, he's so handsome.
yeah, he was.
What a
handsome.
beard. How
Yeah.
old is he there?
Around 35.
Around 35.
He had a good voice too. He wanted to become a singer.
He had kids, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
And he had a wife.
Yes.
This is a very personal question. Do you know anything about why the marriage didn't work out?
Sometimes marriages don't work.
Sure.
But
yeah.
he loved his kids and he had a good relationship after that with his wife also. They were just a normal family. Maybe they didn't live together, but they had communication.
Because he moved near Church Street. So when he was there, would you see him often still?
Like for me, once, sometimes twice a week, we used to talk on the phone.
What was the period between the last time you spoke and your brother being reported missing?
His son, I think, went to try to find him, and he was not there. They called to report the police, and they said, oh, maybe he probably went to Afghanistan.
They thought, and the police thought
The police told the family that it could be that he went to join these groups of whatever.
The police thought that he might have gone to join the terrorist
because they said
group.
we have to find out how he's missing, so they attach certain group of people to certain things. The police should have paid much more attention, take it more seriously than it is.
How much did you know about his day-to-day life in that period?
We didn't know too much about his job. And used to say, I'm working with this older person and doing landscaping for him. And
when you say the older person, are you talking about Bruce?
yes,
Did he mention Bruce to either of you?
he used to say once in a while we go out together, fishing together, or sometimes, I go to his place and we cook together or whatever. So just a normal thing.
I know this is a difficult thing to speak about, especially in our communities. People don't like to talk about this. I'm going to be very blunt about it.
Sure.
A lot of the reporting has been about the fact that possibly he was gay.
I can answer that to you, and he was not.
You don't think he was gay?
No, absolutely not. Because I know him very well. He was more man than any other person that I know. He was not into those things. Maybe he was tricked into something, I don't know. He was not born like that. There's nothing wrong with those, of course. I mean, we are living in a free country. I have full respect for that type of person, and I think it's just like a condition, right? But I know that he wasn't.
There's a long period between Majid going missing,
right,
and anyone hearing any news about what happened. Did you think, one day he might just walk through the door?
Well, of course, you always think that. Never in my wildest dream I thought that somebody killed him. Everybody loved him. Mm-hmm. He loved everybody. He was a joy. It almost made me cry.
I'm really sorry.
Not only this person took his life, that's only one part. The rest is he killed all of us in a way. And we suffered not knowing where is he, what happened to him. If the police did a good job or not, I leave to their own conscience. If the police didn't do a good job, they should admit. Learn from this.
I'm really sorry. I'm really grateful to Sabir and his uncle. I think they're really, really good people whose hearts have just been broken. There were moments in that conversation, though, where they won't acknowledge the fact that Majid might have been gay. Because it's beyond, for them, it's beyond the realm of possibility. I don't think he could be honest about who he was. The family told me Majid worked for MacArthur and sometimes they'd hang out. So it's completely possible that someone in the village had seen them together. I've been working my way through a list of people who knew Majid. Could I get a water, and can I also get a green tea?
Yeah, I can do green tea.
That'd be great, thank you. His friend Kyle agreed to meet up. Tell me about meeting him.
Well, when I first met him, he was at the Eagle. Then he was by himself, and my name's Hamid, not Majid.
Hamid,
yeah,
right.
That was how his gay friends knew him. And family knew him as something else, to sort of keep it separate, because he was living two different lives. And he had a life partner, Harold.
Oh, okay.
They were together quite some time, and when family came to pick him up, they just knew him as his roommate, which is kind of like how it would have been for me when I first came out in the 90s. It would be if I had a gay lover living with me, they'd be my roommate. The only thing I do know for sure is that he really cared about them, and that's why he didn't tell them. He was scared to lose them.
Right.
You know.
Did he talk to you about that kind of transition from moving from being a family man to moving into the village?
He was not able to get the help he needed with post-traumatic stress from not only living in a war-torn country, but everything fucking else going on.
Yeah.
And not feeling accepted by the gay community.
He didn't feel accepted by the gay community either.
Well, he drank a little too much at the bar and didn't really fit in anywhere. He was a square peg looking for a round hole.
Yeah. In amongst that whole cocktail of things, do you know when Bruce was introduced?
Oh, right, yes. I knew that they knew each other well because the second last time I saw Hamid I was at his apartment and we were having a good time and we were being intimate, and the interphone rings and it's Bruce MacArthur. And he lets Bruce in, and the three of us are naked, and three gay men naked. Certain things happened, and...
Oh, so you played together? You
Yeah.
had a threesome?
Yeah.
But did you get the impression that Bruce and Majid had been having sex regularly?
Oh, I knew that.
Right.
Yeah, I knew that.
When did you realize that there was an issue, that he wasn't around, that he was missing?
Well, I reached out to the police because it said if you have any information.
What did you tell them?
They had some great information because they asked me about Bruce.
They asked you about Bruce?
They asked me about Bruce. They asked me if I knew who Bruce was. And I said, well, I know of Bruce. I don't know his surname. After that, I was online and I was like, oh shit, it's Bruce. And I was like, hey, how's it going?
What, on a dating app or something?
On Scruff.
Okay, yeah.
Says, fuck, what happened with Hamid? When did you last see him?
He just didn't respond?
No, and I could see that he read my message.
Right.
So I contacted the police, left a message. I get this weird feeling. You were trying to find Bruce, and this is where he is online.
Did the police contact you?
The only time they contacted me was after it went into the media. I know deep down in my heart that they dropped the ball.
Toronto police say there's no evidence of this call, and if Kyle rang an anonymous tip line, they couldn't have called him back. But like Kyle, a lot of gay people aren't exactly in love with the police. In Toronto, there's been talk of over-policing and under-protecting for as long as anyone can remember. Way back in the 70s, 14 gay men were murdered in the city. 8 of those cases remain unsolved today. And even though homosexuality was decriminalized in Canada in 1969, that didn't stop the police raiding gay saunas more than 10 years later. With nearly 300 men arrested on charges of prostitution and indecency. No surprise then that today the MacArthur case has a lot of gays pointing fingers at the cops.
People were trying to get the police to understand for years that there was somebody hunting within the community, but they would not believe it. So their excuse was they're men of color who are embarrassed about coming out to their family, so they've just disappeared. They're probably not dead at all. Had they been white men, the police would have actually taken action, but the police still are not accepting full responsibility for it.
It's not the first time I've heard the accusation that Toronto police failed victims because of the colour of their skin. If racism did play a part in the investigation, I needed to know about it. But as I kept digging, I found out that the real story was way more complicated. The first major investigation into the missing men began in November 2012 with the launch of Project Houston. If you think that sounds like a space mission, you're right. It was based on Apollo 13's famous line, "Houston, we have a problem." A year and a half after Houston launch, Skander, Basir, and Majid were still listed as missing. The police were unable to uncover any evidence of foul play, so the investigation is shut down. MacArthur went on to take 5 more lives. How did he avoid getting caught for so long? It was time to meet the head of Toronto's homicide unit, the cop who was in charge of Project Houston. He's called Hank, which is probably the most police chief kind of name you can possibly have. Hey, I'm Hank, I'm a police chief. Hank.
I'm Obin.
Good morning, I'm Obin. Really nice to meet you.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
you too. I'm
okay?
great, thank you.
Good. You're taller than I was expecting. So tell me, when you were called in 2012, was there any indication at that stage that these men had been murdered?
We simply didn't know, right? And, there's a lot of criticism where people say, how could you not know? How could you not have entertained that as a theory or speculated about that? Of course we entertain that. But we don't have any bodies, don't have anything to indicate that other than speculation and theories.
At the time where people called in for questioning?
There were dozens and dozens of people who were spoken to. In one interview in particular, during Houston, we found a link between 2 of these gentlemen online to a username of SilverFox51. And in November of 2013, did identify who SilverFox51 was, and it turned out to be Bruce MacArthur. And so Bruce MacArthur was interviewed.
Was he called in as a person of interest, a possible suspect, or a witness? What was the context?
Well, at this point in time, we have no criminal offense that's taken place. So everybody you're dealing with is a witness. There are no persons of interest. There are no suspects.
He gave his witness statement, and then he left.
Correct.
I reckon that police interview is a sensitive subject. And I was about to find out that wasn't the only time MacArthur slipped through the net. After a lot of emails, and I mean a lot, I got my hands on a summary of the interview MacArthur gave to police in 2013. When I say a summary, that's exactly what it is. Just a few bullet points, but it's something. When shown the pictures of the 3 missing men, MacArthur indicated that he recognized Navaratnam, that's Skanda, and Kayan, that's Majid. But he doesn't admit to knowing Basir. In the summary of the interview, there's no mention of Basir, which is surprising because at that point, the police had a crucial bit of information. MacArthur's username, SilverFox51.
I remember that he was talking to Silver Fox, and then he quit online right away. And that's where I got the chill.
The police have information which connect MacArthur to Basir online with the name Silver Fox, but he wasn't asked about that. MacArthur had known Majid Kayan for 10 years, and they'd been sexual. I'm guessing part of the reason he told them that is because there's people in the community like Kyle who would have had that information. Did you get the impression that Bruce and Majid had been having sex regularly?
I knew that.
Right.
Yeah, I knew that.
But then with Skanda, he doesn't tell them about the extent of their relationship. Even though they'd been together for 10 years, this relationship didn't seem to be common knowledge. Did people know that they were together?
Well, I don't think so, because a new friend of Scan's didn't even know they were dating.
So if in that 16-minute interview, MacArthur had said, yeah, I've known 2 of these 3 missing guys for a long time, and I'm having sex with 2 of them, that probably would have set off a few alarm bells. And so it feels like he is always really aware of the line he's treading, and he tells them just enough truth so it feels like he's being honest. And at the end of the 16 minutes, they let him go. Interview's over. The revelation that police interviewed MacArthur way back in 2013 isn't even the most shocking thing Hank told me. After that, we know there goes on to be other people going missing.
Yes.
Were there any other dealings in this period with Bruce MacArthur between him and the police?
Yes. So, in June of 2016, Mr. MacArthur was arrested following an allegation of him choking somebody in the back of his van. And I can't talk too much about that because of some internal disciplinary hearings that are ongoing, but he was released and not charged.
It was a long shot to track down the man he allegedly tried to strangle. I mean, where do you even start? Well, I'll tell you where. This Facebook group that I'd become a bit obsessed with. There's one man who's posted, let me tell you, unless his victims are restrained, the man is a coward and a weakling, and he knows it. I get no solace for his demise. I'm sure the terror he feels doesn't come close to what he made me feel. God, he's saying he was attacked by Bruce. I didn't know for sure if this guy was legit, but I sent him a message and he agreed to talk. He's only agreed to meet on the condition that his face isn't seen. I don't know if that's because of the stigma of being attacked by Bruce or if it's something else. The thing is, if what he's saying is actually true, then he is the only person that I'm aware of who was attacked by Bruce and actually lived to tell the story. And I have a million questions. I'm calling him Isaac. It's not his real name. We're meeting in a car park where he says he used to hook up with MacArthur. Just put the camera down for a second. Isaac. Maveen, how are you doing? To show me he's not some internet fantasist, he gave me the footage from his dash cam recorded on the day of the incident. I know from police evidence photos that MacArthur drove a red Dodge Caravan. And sure enough, there it is. What was your concern about your face being seen?
I'm not out.
You're not out?
No.
That makes complete sense then. All right, I appreciate that. How did you first come into contact with Bruce?
It was on Silver Daddies, I guess, around 2010.
Silver Daddies?
Maybe even 2009.
So is that like a cruising website?
Yeah, it is. And after that, it started becoming a regular thing.
When did things change?
When he tried to kill me.
He tried to kill you?
His parts right over here. And it was all dirty inside the bags, and he used it for work. But there was his fur coat, and he said lay on top of that. And I thought to myself, it's awful nice. He put that out so I wouldn't get dirty. A turn.
Was it a woman's coat?
Yeah, it was.
In that moment, talking to Isaac, I remembered the police photos of MacArthur's Dodge Caravan. The fur coat he dressed his victims in after killing them. It had been found in his car.
Next thing you know, with his right hand, he grabbed my throat. And the look on his face. Anger, hatred, disgust.
Did you think you were gonna die?
Yeah, I thought this was the end of it for me.
In late 2017, police found traces of blood and semen in the car. DNA testing identified a match with MacArthur, as well as Andrew Kinsman and Salim Essen. Both men were killed after MacArthur was arrested for assaulting Isaac. How did you get him off you?
Finally managed to slowly pull my arm out. And he saw that, he let go. And though even it stunk inside that van, that first breath of fresh air, it was sweet. It's called 911.
You called the police straight away?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody just tried to strangle me. Bathrooms once. You guys just tried to strangle me to death.
Who did?
I'm on the phone with 911. He didn't say anything. He just got into his driver's seat and started taking off.
Okay, Bruce. Well, for a while, we were trying to make out once in a while. All of a sudden, he started to strangle me. Okay, he's going south now.
Let him go. You have a license. Let him go.
What MacArthur did next is not your usual serial killer move.
He ended up going to a division out in the East End.
So he was called in by the police?
Well, no, he didn't. He ended up going himself. Say there was a misunderstanding.
Why do you think he did that?
To throw them off.
And this is it. MacArthur being interviewed under caution in 2016.
Just before we begin here, I just want to let you know that we are being audio or video recorded right now because there's a camera just up in the corner.
It was an 11-minute interview.
It was 11 minutes?
Yeah. They decided he was innocent after 11 minutes. A misunderstanding.
So then I thought, okay, he likes it rough. So I put my hand to his throat, and just for a few seconds, because he's very strong, and before you know it, he just had completely swung around and was facing me on pushing me down, and his hands were around my neck.
He knows exactly what he's doing. He's the one that's handed himself in. Because I don't want there to be any misunderstanding, and I don't want you to think that I've done anything wrong.
And he had me by the throat to the point that I couldn't breathe. So I put my hands like up in the air, like surrender, because I couldn't talk.
At this point, he'd already murdered 6 people.
I don't know, we had had sex, numerous times. I never had a problem.
Why did nothing happen, in your view, between then and when he was finally arrested more than a year later?
Probably more stigma than anything else.
What do you mean, stigma?
Well, can't exactly say the police have been too nice to queers in the past, you know.
So do you mean you think they didn't take it seriously because...
Yeah.
Because the victims were gay?
It's just two queers getting it on, and one gets angry, the other one, whatever. Who cares?
Okay, sir. Just before we conclude, is there anything else you feel might be important to tell us before we end the interview?
As Hank told me, the officer that interviewed MacArthur was investigated for failing to thoroughly look into the assault, but he's since been cleared of any wrongdoing. He's gone to the police, and even though it might be a little bit embarrassing, I'm going to talk about the kind of sex we were having. I'm going to give you little bits of private detail so you feel that you're getting the truth.
Okay. All right, time that I have is 10:28.
So there we go. Case dismissed again. Since I arrived in Toronto, I'd reached out to many people who used to know MacArthur to try to understand what motivated him to kill. Most people blanked me, but every once in a while, I'd get a response. John used to work with MacArthur when he was in his 20s.
He was a very kind of friendly young man, and he was a little bit shy, and we suspected that Bruce was gay. We were a bit surprised when we found out that Bruce had a girlfriend and was engaged and got married. I could send you the picture.
Who's in the picture?
Bruce, his wife, and the two young kids whom I never met.
Bruce's kids?
Bruce's kids, yeah.
Everything I've heard about Bruce has linked him to the village and murder. I did not think of him in the context of a wife and two kids. Everything about this picture is conventional. He could be any dad. That's the life he was living. But then, by the time he gets to 40, he's having real trouble suppressing his sexuality. And so he enters this new phase of his life where he's having sex with men secretly on the side. By the late 90s, he enters a whole new phase of his life, leaves his wife, comes out and moves to Toronto. And it's there that he's living his life as an openly gay man. When I spoke to Isaac, he reckoned there was one moment that changed everything for MacArthur.
Why do you think he did what he did? Judging on the look of anger on his face, I think it's because he got outed by queers.
Did he tell you how that happened?
He was still living with his wife and his kids. Somebody outed him to his wife.
That must have been pretty difficult.
For him, it probably was traumatic because he was married, you know. And I think he just hated queers or gay, whatever.
You think he hated gay people?
Like, he enjoys them sexually, but other than that, sure, he blames him for the way his life turned out to be.
You know the idea of kind of internalized homophobia?
Well,
like, did he hate gay people because he hated himself?
If a person doesn't hate themselves, he wouldn't go around killing people. He'd have more compassion.
Take care, Isaac.
Keep safe.
Thank you. You too. Take care. I can imagine being outed is traumatic, especially when there's a wife and kids at home. Fact is, most people who go through something like that don't turn into serial killers. If MacArthur's tipping point was being forced out of the closet way back in the 90s, why did it take him another decade before he murdered his first victim in 2010? There must be someone from around the village who knew what was going on with him in those intervening years. I'm gonna meet Monica. Monica's a trans woman, and she used to be a sex worker. She used to work on these streets, and she was homeless for a while as well. So she knows what the, I guess you could say, the underbelly of Toronto is about. She is. A bunch of people told me if something's happening on Church Street, Monica knows about it. Monica, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
How are you doing?
Are you all right?
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Well, no, you can't see me because I'm not home at the moment. Well, what time is it? Maybe like another hour. Okay, bye. Yeah. You know, sometimes it gets bitchy.
So is he a client?
Yeah, he's a client now. Like, he is a guy that I met. But sometimes if I'm not really interested in them, I just tell them, oh, I got a boyfriend now. You have to pay for it.
Do you know anything about his life?
He's separated from his wife.
Is he closeted?
Oh, yeah, he's closeted.
A lot of your clients closeted?
Oh, yeah, a lot of them are.
Monica is in demand, so I asked her what she knew about MacArthur's life in the years after his outing.
He had a past history of beating up a male sex worker.
Bruce MacArthur did?
Yeah, he beat a male hustler with a bat. You know what I mean? And he wasn't even allowed in this vicinity. That was
So Bruce wasn't allowed in this?
No, he wasn't allowed in this.
So it was known that he'd beaten this sex worker?
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show the system has failed.
So way back, this is 2001, a couple of years after MacArthur's come out, MacArthur hits someone in the head. He beats them with a metal bar, and people know about this. They know about it to the extent that MacArthur is banned from the village. It's a serious assault. I figured the village ban must have been part of a wider punishment, and when I dug deeper, I came up with, well, nothing. But then I found this. So I got my hands on the court transcripts of the day Bruce MacArthur appeared in court for this assault. And some of this stuff is unbelievable. So listen to this. So Bruce is asked if he wants to speak, and he says, well, I just want to apologize to the court for what happened. My life's been kind of a mess in the last year and a half. I can guess he's referring to the fact that the life that he knew has been falling apart. The wife and the 2 kids and that traditional family man and all that stuff. This is the judge saying, I read your pre-sentence report and your whole family situation, and you made a mistake on this particular day. A mistake, so he's referring to assaulting someone with a metal pipe. It sounds to me like you're a pretty good person. And it sounds to me like you're not going to be back here. I'm sure you'll get some help and enjoy your life. I think a huge part of that has to be that Bruce MacArthur was really, really good at manipulating people, including figures of authority like a court, like a judge, who deal with this stuff day in and day out. It's all about poor Bruce in the court documents, but one side of the story is missing: the guy who MacArthur attacked. Hello, Mark. I'm being really nice to meet you. How you doing? Oh my God, this is quite a place.
Welcome to France.
This is amazing. This is beautiful. I've never seen any place like this.
Do you want a little bit of a tour?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Everything's full of costumes.
So you like to dress up?
Well, I'm an actor and a model and tools of the trade.
Yes.
That's my shoe rack.
That is amazing. I love dressing up.
Face the wall.
Face the wall. Oh God, this is great.
You may be seated.
Okay. Oh, that feels so right. I feel like I was kind of born to walk around like this. Am I doing it right?
Perfect.
I was just getting used to wearing a crown, and then I remembered I'd actually come here to get some answers.
For the attack, this is what I looked like. And then here's the actual attack photos. I had only just found these recently. This paper is 20 years old, and that's the original statement.
Can I take a look?
Yeah.
As I approached the building, I could hear him trotting to catch up to me. As I unlocked the door and moved to step in, I felt something strike me hard. The sequence is fuzzy here, till I turned to see him with a bar hoisted over his head and a look of extreme agitation on his face.
When I turned around, he had it hoisted up like that, and the look on his face, that man, he was gonna kill me. There was no doubt in my mind. He was a killer.
Blood poured from my head. I was screaming 911 and help loudly and repeatedly. This seemed to jar him somehow, and he tossed down the pipe. Are you okay?
Yeah.
When it gets to court, do you feel that you got justice?
No. I wasn't in any shape to testify, and I didn't get to testify. There was a whole blame the victim narrative. You know, I had worked as an escort. I enjoyed it, I had a good time, and I miss it.
So it became about your character?
I was on trial more than he is. And that was the only way he was going to get out, was to take me down.
I don't understand how you could be construed as anything other than the victim in this scenario. Of course you were the victim. You're the guy that got hit over the head.
But the narrative that's out there is all the killers. So the killer got his narrative out, in this case, by running right over to headquarters, which is a block away from here, and getting his version out there first.
So let me get this right. Bruce went and handed himself into the police?
Immediately. He got right in front of it. He went right to them.
So what did he tell them?
He said, I'm guilty of something, and so they booked him.
A murderous look, a brutal attack, and then a mad dash to the police to get his story out first. Sound familiar?
He ended up going to a division out in the East End.
So he was called in by the police?
Well, no, he didn't. He ended up going himself.
There are these obvious parallels between the assault in 2016 on Isaac and the assault in 2001 on Mark. What I'm talking about is how MacArthur handles it. I've been going through the transcripts that followed the 2001 case. It says, he himself, the accused, attended at the police station virtually immediately after the incident. That's exactly what he did in 2016. And sure enough, it works to his advantage. Because there's this bit here, it says that was taken into consideration when deciding not to jail him. MacArthur knows how to manipulate the system. I've got the psychological report and the pre-sentence report as well from the time. This is pretty astounding as well. It says, we are confident to conclude that the risk of violence is very minimal. It just isn't picked up. And so year on year, and red flag after red flag, it seems that no one is connecting these dots. As clear as day, MacArthur was a master at manipulating the authorities. Now, I was about to find out how he exploited the vulnerable. Do you think Dean was seeing Bruce because Bruce would give him substances? Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, God, yeah. I have a funny feeling that that's how he killed him, was through the G.
So the first words out of my mouth were, if you were the serial killer, this would be the drug you'd want to use. And I handed it to him and he made my drink. I drank it and I thought, holy fuck.